The AK-47 is one of the most iconic weapons in the history of firearms. Originally developed in the Soviet Union over 70 years ago, it has rapidly become one of the most popular guns in the world, with an estimated 100 million in circulation as of 2020. So naturally, the weapon has appeared many times throughout many video games, and especially throughout Call of Duty history. It's one of those weapons that's always pretty good, if not great. Welcome to the channel, everybody. Today we're going to take a trip through COD history and rank every single version of the AK-47 from worst to best. We did the AK-7 for you the other day, and I told you we would do the AK-47 pretty soon. So you let me know in the comments what your favorite version of the AK is. See if you can guess what my favorite version is before I tell you when we get to it. Drop a like, and let's get started with a weapon that's really not even that bad, but unfortunately, somebody had to be at the bottom. At number 10, the Infinite Warfare, aka the Volk. Throughout the entire Call of Duty franchise, I think the Volk is the only AK-47 that's ever been considered to be a somewhat bad gun. I mean, the community was right about this one, but it's just interesting as an observation that all 10 of the AK-47s on here, only one of them is actually called a bad gun. So, the Volk was a very late unlock in the multiplayer of Infinite Warfare, which made it pretty annoying to use. It was a futuristic AK, it shot lasers instead of bullets, but it also had some of the worst damage of any AK in history. It was not capable of a 2-shot kill, would sometimes take up to 4 shots, and on top of that, the fire rate was a pathetic 480 rounds per minute. It made it the slowest gun on this list despite having some of the worst damage as well. Those are not two things that need to go together. In hardcore modes, it's pretty popular since it was much more consistent of a weapon, but in core modes, it was low tier. I mean, I guess it wasn't the worst gun in COD history, but it was certainly the worst AK-47 in COD history by a large margin, if you ask me. Moving forward, every other gun on this list, to me, is going to be high tier or better. So the Volk is that weird standout. Before we move on, guys, if you want daily COD content, check out the new Chaos Call of Duty channel. We cover daily content, leaks, rumors, updates. We just talked about the Modern Warfare 2 Reloaded update and everything that's going on with raids. Make sure you guys subscribe over there, and the link is at the top of the description. At number 9, Modern Warfare 3. Now, I've said before, I didn't like this version. It's still not my favorite, but I can at least admit that I've probably been too harsh on it in the past. The Modern Warfare 3 AK was nerfed from its previous appearances, but it was still a pretty fun weapon to use, and it probably belonged in the upper mid-tier of Modern Warfare 3's multiplayer scheme. It fired at 700 rounds per minute, could kill in 3 to 4 shots, but if you landed a headshot, it would unlock 2-shot kill potential for up to 31 meters, which was pretty solid for a game like MW3. It wasn't as easy to use as the ACR or the MP7. It wasn't the melt machine of the other AKs in COD history, but it was perfectly viable, and it had unique appeal to some people. Plus, it looked really unique compared to the other COD AKs thanks to that little makeover to make it look more modern. I thought it was a pretty fun gun to use, even if it wasn't actually that good compared to the competition. At number 8, the Advanced Warfare AK-47. It was actually a surprise. It was a welcome one. I guess it makes sense that it's near future. The world would probably still use AKs, and I'm never going to complain about a legacy weapon being added to a game post-launch. Introduced in September of 2015, it was one of the last pieces of DLC weapons for Advanced Warfare. But it was a nice touch, the final touch. It fired at 615 rounds per minute, killed in 3 to 4 shots. It was also a one-shot kill in hardcore modes for up to 40 meters, which made it pretty great in that playlist. Overall, it was decent. Maybe a little underwhelming. The damage was solid, recoil wasn't too bad, but what made the AW version a little lower than the others, it was the handling. It was slow. The ADS speed was very slow, and the reload animation was weirdly long. The damage was there. The recoil was okay, but the range was poor, and the handling kind of held it back. So I think 8 out of 10 is a pretty fair spot. At number 7, Modern Warfare 2, 2009. I think some people look at this AK with those rose-tinted goggles we talk about from time to time, and I get it. It was a pretty beastly weapon, but when compared to the other guns in the game, it was kind of average. Plus, when you compare it to the other AKs on this list, you just can't help but think it was a little below the standard. The Modern Warfare 2 version could be a 3 to 4 shot kill without stopping power, 2 to 3 shot kill with good old SP on. Recoil pretty moderate. It wasn't quite as easy to control as other rifles at your disposal, but it was killing with fewer bullets on average. It was a give or take. But when you get down to it, other Modern Warfare 2 rifles did it better. The ACR, the TAR, the SCAR, they were all better choices than the AK on just about every single map, but that doesn't mean the gun was bad. I know this isn't a comparison video of AKs versus ACRs. The Modern Warfare 2 AK wasn't bad. It just couldn't keep up with the ridiculous rifles in the game and the AKs that we're going to see moving forward. I think overall, it's good. Number 7. Remember, that's a good thing. At number 6, Modern Warfare 2019. When we first played MW, we all thought the AK was going to be top tier. It was the strongest one we'd gotten in years, and you could load it up with a freaking 75-round drum mag. Now, the AK ended up being high tier in the final game, but I think we can agree it was a little disappointing that such an awesome-looking sounding AK wasn't a tad bit better. I mean, the 2019 version of it was a good rifle. It had some good traits. People built out some ridiculous gunsmith blueprints with it. Two-shot kill range on it was pretty impressive if you aimed high, and the fire rate was competitive enough to take advantage of the great damage per shot. I mean, the handling speeds left a little to be desired, but the recoil, it wasn't hard to control, especially with a barrel or under-barrel grip helping you out. So it could have been better, but it could have been way worse. It was fun to use. It had personality. I think we're solid so far. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree. At number 4 today is my favorite AK. The Black Ops 1 AK. I've said it before, this is my favorite gun, one of my favorite guns in COD history. I'm sticking with it. It was probably the most unique out of all of them. While it's not the best, it was good. It fired at 750 rounds per minute, which is pretty fast for an AK. It would kill in 3 to 4 shots. It was a little disappointing that this version couldn't get that 2-shot kill, but it was okay. It was smooth. The recoil was smooth. This version of the AK was a lot skinnier than the others for some reason, but it made up for it. It was a lot easier to aim, and the recoil was 100% vertical. Easy to stay on target. Aim at the waist and go up. Plus, it sounded awesome with the suppressor attached. The Black Ops 1 AK may have been pretty different from the other AKs in COD history, but it fit in perfectly with the rest of the weapons available. It was one of my favorites. Wasn't going to keep up with the FAMAS, but it actually matched up with the Galil and the Commando in terms of damage, so it was strong. If you knew how to control the recoil, it was easy to get hang of. This thing was a beast. At number 3, the Modern Warfare 2 2022, aka the Cast-Off 762, AK47. The most recent version already made a name for itself. Granted, Infinity Ward thought it needed a different name, and I'll never understand why they did it, but okay. This version was renamed the Cast-Off 762 for the new universe, but if you use the 2019 version of the weapon to any degree, you already know. It's basically just a buff version of the 2019 AK, and most of the community is on board. The fire rate's low compared to other weapons in the game, but the damage is incredibly high, and it's more than capable of a 2-shot kill with the right attachments on it. It's a top-tier assault rifle at the time I'm recording this, and the Warzone 2 version is actually pretty good too. It's not quite as top-tier as multiplayer's, but I think number 3 out of 10 is pretty respectable for a place for a brand new weapon to make a list. If I'm putting it above the Black Ops 1 AK, I have to think it's pretty good. At number 2, the Black Ops Cold War AK47. When the game launched, the Cold War AK wasn't the most popular weapon amongst the community. However, as the weeks went by, people figured out new gunsmith builds. It became clear this AK was something good. The abundance of attachments, the faster gameplay of Cold War, it made the gunsmith a much bigger asset to the AK-47 than it was in the Modern Warfare 2019 version. It even got to the point that it was banned in competitive play because the potential was too good. In the hands of a decent player, it's perhaps the best rifle in the game because of the insane damage potential and the handling. Despite being able to delete people almost instantly with headshots, it handled very quickly. It didn't kick very much. It gave it some of the best potential in the entire Cold War weapon selection. Now, some may disagree with me for putting it above the Cast-Off, but personally, I think the Cold War version sticks out more than the Cast-Off does right now. Future patches may change that, but for now, I'm sticking with it. At number 1, here it is. The best AK-47 in COD history has to be the COD 4 version. I've made a habit of praising this gun on COD history lists, but I'm going to do it one more time. The very first AK-47 to appear in Call of Duty, and I honestly think it's still the best. Other AKs may have been faster, may have been more mobile, but none of them were as consistent or smooth. With stopping power, this rifle could kill in 2 shots anywhere on the body from a long ways away. At that point, it would only drop down to a 3-shot kill anywhere on the body, making it one of the most consistent and powerful guns in the entire game. It fired at a nice 705 rounds per minute, had some pretty easy recoil to control. It made it pretty effective for any play style you had. Plus, on top of it, it was one of your starting weapons in multiplayer. The COD 4 AK-47 is the best version of the weapon in COD history in my mind. You may think the Cold War version was busted, or you may be a fan of the new Cast-Off, but sometimes the classics, they just can't be beat. I mean, 2007 was when the COD AK peaked, and you're not going to convince me otherwise. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree. Check out the new Chaos Call of Duty channel. I'll see you soon.